Hi there, this is Professor Eckhouse, and I'm going to talk about properties of identity, inverse, and zero. So these are very key properties to being able to do algebra. These are the reasons we're able to do all the things we do. So what do we add to a number to get the same number? What would I add to 3 and still get 3? Well, I would add 0, right, to get 3. So what do we multiply by 3 to be able to get 3? What would I multiply by? Well, that would be 1. So these are special numbers. And what we get is the identity property. The identity property of addition is going to be a plus 0. It gives us a. Okay, so that's the identity property. So the 0 is called the additive identity, and that is going to be important for the next thing we talk about, which is inverses. So the multiplicative identity is 1. Multiplicative identity is 1. All right, so inverse properties of addition and multiplication. What number would give the identity when we add? So what would give the identity when we add is 0, and the identity when we multiply is 1, right? That's what we got right there. All right, so what number would give the identity when we add? So if we add to 3, how would we get 0? What would we add? Well, we would have to add -3, right? So that is called the additive inverse, right? Additive inverse. In other words, it's the opposite. It's the negative. The additive inverse is the negative. So then what would we multiply by 3 to get 1? Because remember, when you multiply, the multiplicative inverse is what we're going to be looking for here. Okay, so up here it was the multiplicative identity. So what do we multiply to get the multiplicative identity? 1. It's a lot of words. Well, we would have to multiply by 1/3. We've already talked about that. Reciprocals give us 1. So this is called the multiplicative inverse. Multiplicative inverse. So that we can get 1. So the 1/3 itself is called the multiplicative inverse. It is the reciprocal. All right, so find the additive inverse of each of the following. And I will pause here at this inverse property in case you want to write it down. You can pause the video. Right, now I'll go on to example 1. Find the additive inverse of each of these. So the additive inverse, remember, is just the opposite. What do we want them to equal when we add them? We're going to add to get 0. Right? What do we want? So what are we going to add to this to get 0? What are we going to add to this to get 0? What are we going to add to this to get 0? Right? And that is going to be -4. And then you do the next two. All right, so you should get the opposite of this one is 3/5. The opposite of that one is 7. So those are additive inverses. And this is how we solve things in algebra. We add the additive inverse to something to make it go away. All right, so now we're going to find the multiplicative inverse of these. So what do we want them to equal when we multiply? We're going to multiply up here. We added to get 0. We're going to multiply to get 1. So what do we multiply 8 by to get 1? What do we multiply -1/6 by to get 1? What do we multiply 0.5 by to get 1? So pause the video and see if you can answer those. So we add 8 to 1/8 to get 1. Sorry, multiply 8 by 1/8 to get 1. We multiply 1/6 by its reciprocal, -6/1, or just -6, right? That would be the answer. All right, so remember 0.5 is just 1/2. So what would I multiply 0.5 by to get 1? And that would be 2. 0.5 plus 0.5 is 1. 0.5 times 2 is 1. All right, so those are inverses. All right, properties of 0 we've already talked about, but now we're naming them. So multiplication by 0 gives us 0. Division by 0 looks like this. And people had a lot of problems with this on the midterm, so make sure you pay attention to this. 0 over a is 0, whereas a over 0 is undefined. Division by 0 is undefined. All right, so try all of these. All right, 6 times 0 is 0. 6 divided by 0 is undefined. 0 divided by 6 is 0. 4/7 divided by 0, well, we can't divide by 0. That is undefined. So you don't have to write it as a fraction. You just need to know when you divide by 0, it is undefined. It doesn't matter what it is on the left side. It's undefined. 0 divided by -3/11, it doesn't matter what it is. It's going to be 0. Right? So you don't have to really think about dealing with fractions or decimals. If there's a 0 involved, the rule is very simple. All right, simplifying expressions using the properties. So let's simplify each one of those. And the properties, and the point of this is to learn to make some of this easier. So some of the properties we learned earlier tells us that 5 times 0.2 is what we can do first, and then take it times the x. So 5 times 0.2 is just 1. So that's just x. 0 over x minus 7, well, I know it looks like hard math, but it's 0 divided by something. It doesn't matter what the bottom is. It's just 0. Same with this one. It doesn't matter what the top is. This is undefined. Always undefined. It does not matter what's on top. All right, the next one, this is from something we did earlier, but if you've got 4/7 times 7/4, then this is all going to cancel out because those are reciprocals. And you get what's left, the 20x plus 3. That's all that's left, right? All right, so this is a summary of all the properties. The commutative property of, and we've got addition on the left and multiplication on the right. So each of these properties is listed with its in its particular column. Okay, so this is from our book. So you can pause the video here and make sure these are all together in your notes. And then I'm going to move on and make sure you've got the distributive, the properties of 0, and everything all together. All right. Thank you for watching.